My name is Aine White and I am a programme coordinator for the PATS programme, and I work with Barnardo's and I work in schools in Glasgow and East Ayrshire. PATS is a social and emotional learning programme in which we empower children to develop fundamental social and emotional learning skills. And in my role, I support schools to deliver the programme over what is usually a 3-year journey. And the goal is that at the end of 3 years, this programme is embedded in practice and sustainable for schools to take forward independently. I started to work with Dalrymple Primary School in August 2020, which is when they started their PATS journey. There was a recognition in the aftermath of COVID that there was a need for a consistent approach across the school. And that was the point at which we started our working partnership together. So since August 2020, I have visited the school on a monthly basis. This involves me sometimes delivering lessons in classes. Sometimes I support staff to deliver lessons. Sometimes I have one-to-one dialogue with staff. It has also involved me delivering training to the wider support staff, so classroom assistants and office staff. It will involve parent sessions and work with buddies or older children in the school who we train to model the strategies in the playground and lead on playground games. So we work to a 3-year model and we have a focus for each year. So our focus for year 1 is in-class delivery, or deliver the lessons so the children have the language. Our focus for year 2 is generalisation, which is extending it to other areas of the curriculum and to the environment. And our focus for year 3 is whole school ethos, so extending it to the wider community and into policy, with the goal being at the end of 3 years, it's embedded in practice. So Dalrymple Primary School started their PATS journey in August 2020. This was the point when we were in the aftermath of the first lockdown of COVID, and there was a real recognition from staff and management within the school that there was a need for a consistent approach across the school in terms of social and emotional learning. There was a recognition that children had been through a challenging and uncertain period, and that the return would be difficult, and that there was a need to put emphasis on social and emotional learning so that children could achieve academically in the long term. To that extent, teaching staff were all trained in August 2020. There was a clear message from SLT that this was a priority going forward, and well-being was made a priority. Staff really hit the ground running with the programme, and from August 2020 until December 2020, delivered the programme really effectively in classes. In January 2021, when we went back to online learning, staff continued to deliver the programme online, doing daily feelings check-ins with children, delivering lessons online. And what it also meant was that they were communicating to home the learning of PATS, so communicating that to parents so that parents could support it from home as well, so extending it out into homes. On the return to school in spring 2021, teachers went back to delivering lessons in classes. So for the whole of the first year of delivery in Dalrymple Primary School, in what was a really challenging time for children, this programme was delivered both in class and online really effectively, which had a massive impact on supporting the children through this period, and will ultimately likely have had a knock-on impact in terms of their ability to achieve academically also. It's always a pleasure to visit Dalrymple Primary School. I have worked in a lot of schools over the years, both as a mainstream class teacher and in various roles within Barnardo's. And from my earliest visits to Dalrymple Primary School, I was extremely impressed by the culture and the ethos that I observed, a culture and ethos that's extremely positive. It's a school in which well-being is made a priority, and this is lived by on a daily basis and practiced on a daily basis. Not just the well-being of the children, but the well-being of everyone. And as such, it's an optimum environment in which to deliver a programme like PATS. It's an optimum environment because the children can practice these skills on a daily basis, and these are the skills that are modelled to them. It's the way people are. And based on my impressions of what I saw in Dalrymple Primary School, I fed this information back to my managers within Barnardo's, Hazel and Alison. At that time, it coincided with some work that was being done in partnership with Education Scotland and the COVID Education Recovery Group. So workshops were being developed for leaders in education. And based on my impressions of Dalrymple Primary School, it was felt that it would be a good fit to ask Simon to sit in on the pilots of these workshops, because we value partners and we're always eager to share good practice. So that has resulted in further partnership working between Dalrymple Primary School and Barnardo's. So Dalrymple Primary School are currently halfway through their PATS journey in terms of support from Barnardo's, and as such our focus at the moment is generalisation. We have focused in year one on in-class delivery, and we're focusing this year on generalisation. So we're looking at this in terms of generalisation of the programme and making links to other curricular areas, and we're also looking at extending it to the wider school environment. So recently we have completed training for support staff, training for classroom assistants and office staff, and in January we will be looking at training buddies, so P6 children, and we will be training them to model the strategies and lead on games in the playground. We will continue this year also with the model sessions for teaching staff, peer support sessions for teaching staff, and one-to-one sessions where we get to have dialogue about how the programme is progressing within the school. So that will be our focus for this year. As we progress towards year 3, our focus is whole school ethos. So at that point, we will be looking at making links to policy, and we will be looking at extending it to the wider school community. So any other partners who work with the school, and also extending it to home, which is continuous for the 3 years. But we will be really looking at embedding it in practice in the school so that there's a consistent approach from all partners within the school, so that this is embedded to take forward. Based on Dalrymple's engagement with the programme for the first year and a half, I have no doubt that they will continue to take it forward as positively as they have done up to now, so that by the end of 3 years, this programme will be embedded in practice, sustainable to take forward, and that the staff will continue to deliver this programme for the well-being of the children and the wider community.